Hi everyone, I'm Trish Connor-Cato. Welcome to Analyzing Data with SQL Server Reporting Services, also referred to as SSRS. This video course is for those who will be the administrators of SSRS and who need to create dynamic paginated reports using the reporting tools. You'll also learn the SSRS administrative tasks during the course. When we begin the course, there is a Word document in the video description that I will review with you before we get started into the course. In this Word document, you'll find all the software requirements necessary to get your system ready for this course, as well as the links and instructions to download and configure software as necessary. In Module 6, you'll learn several ways to summarize report data. These include sorting and grouping, SubReports, and the concept of drill down on a report. You will also create a drill through report, which is actually two separate reports. Module 7 dives into sharing reporting services reports. In this module, you'll learn about schedules, then move into report caching, snapshots, and comments. The module ends with report subscription and delivery. When we get to Module 8, you'll learn how to administer reporting services via tasks. These tasks include the configuration of the web portal and web service, branding the web portal, and ensuring that access to sensitive reports is carefully controlled. Administrators also monitor and optimize performance. We'll be using the Report Service Configuration Manager during this module. As the amount of data we need to deal with increases, so does the requirement to manage data by grouping and summarizing. In this module, you'll learn how to create group structures, summarize data, and provide interactivity in your reports so that users can see the level of detail or summary that they need. We're going to start this module with learning how to sort your data, move on to the interactivity in lessons 2 and 3, which include report subreports and nested data regions, and drill down and drill through capabilities in reporting. To control the sort order of data in your report, you can sort data in a dataset query or define a sort expression for a data region or group. You can also add interactive sort buttons to tables and matrices to enable a user to change the sort order for rows, depending on their needs. The default sort order is based on the query being used in the dataset. You can use the order by clause in the query if you want to change the default sort order. You can also use a query to determine a custom sort order by using a case statement in a query. We're going to be working in Report Designer for this one, and we'll be working on our Sales Info VS report. So we're going to talk about doing our sorting here. And what we're going to do is we're going to select the table, right-click on the gray border of it, and go into Tablix Properties. This is just like what we did when we filtered on a Tablix. And so we're on the left side. This time we're going to go to Sorting. We're going to choose Add at the top. And we're going to do the drop down for Sort By, and we're going to choose Quantity. And we're going to change the order over to the right. It's in ascending order. We want it in descending order, so we're going to do the drop down and select Z2A. We're going to click OK and go ahead and preview your report. Just put in the start and end dates of your choice. So I've used January 1st, 2016 through May 31st, 2016, and you can see that my quantities are now displaying in descending order in their order date and order ID groups. Let's go back to Design View. At this point, anytime this report is run, the sort order for quantity is going to be in descending order. We want to give the end user the ability to switch between ascending and descending order for the quantity column. And we're going to set up an interactive sorting. So what we're going to do is we're going to right-click on the quantity column heading, and we're going to choose text box properties. On the left side, we're going to go to interactive sorting. We're going to enable it by using that top checkbox. We're going to leave it on detail rows under choose what to sort. And then for sort by, we're going to go to the drop down and choose quantity. And we can click OK at the bottom. Let's go ahead and preview this again. And you'll be able to see where the end user will be able to change the sort order to meet their needs. If you look to the right of your quantity column heading, you have your up and down arrow. So we're in descending order, which is what we set up in Tablix. If we click the arrow, it will switch between ascending and descending order. And that gives the end user more capability in terms of what they need to see when they run this report. We can go back to Design View and save. So now I'm going to have you go back to Report Builder and reopen your Sales Info RB report. I'd like you on your own to set up a descending order sort on the quantity column and then set up an interactive sort on the quantity column. The process is exactly the same in Report Builder as it is in Report Designer. When you're done and you run your report, it should look like mine on my screen. Before we get into the next lesson, I just wanted to go over some definitions beforehand. So we're getting ready to create report subreports. A subreport is a report item that displays another report inside the body of a main paginated report. Conceptually, a subreport in a report is like a frame in a web page. It's used to embed a report within a report. Any report can be used as a subreport. The report that is displayed as the subreport is stored on a report server, usually in the same folder as the parent report. You can design the parent report to pass parameters to the subreport, and a subreport can be repeated within data regions using a parameter to filter data in each instance of the subreport. So you can nest one data region in a paginated report, such as a chart, inside another data region, such as a matrix, typically to display data summaries in a concise manner or to provide a visual display as well as a table or matrix display. By providing plus and minus icons on a text box, you can enable users in a paginated report to hide and display items interactively. This is called a drill down action. For a table or matrix, you can show or hide static rows and columns or rows and columns that are associated with groups. Then we have a drill through report. And that is a report that a user opens by clicking a link within another paginated report. Drill-through reports commonly contain details about an item that is contained in an original summary report. I'll give you a few moments to review these comparisons on this slide, and then I have another slide with comparisons for you as well to review. So pause the video, review this slide, and then also review the rest of the comparisons on this slide. So now we're going to get started building a report subreport. We're actually going to be building two reports and connecting them. So we're going to design our main report first, and we're going to do this in Report Builder. It's the same process pretty much in Report Designer. So we're going to just make sure our Sales Info RB report is saved. We're going to go to the File tab of the menu and choose New. and we're going to choose a blank report. You'll be pleased to hear that we're going to be using a different query. So let's switch over to SQL Server Management Studios. And we're going to grab the supplier categories query. And you see the query results. If you don't have the results on the bottom, go ahead and execute the query or press F5 to execute the query. And we decide that we want this sorted by supplier category ID. So instead of adding a sort, at the tablets level, we're going to build the sort into this query. So underneath the last line, the from purchasing.supplier categories, we're going to type order by, it's two separate words, and then we're going to give it the supplier category ID field, which if you start typing it in, it should pop up on the list and you can just select it. So we want these sorted by supplier category ID. The default sort order is ascending. If you wanted it descending, you would have to type DESC, but we want it in ascending. So I'm going to just execute this, and now you can see in the results that it's in ascending order. So I'm going to then Control-A-C to select and copy that query and switch back over to Report Builder. And we'll be using that query for our data set in building our main report here. We're going to right click in a blank area, hover over Insert, and go ahead and choose Table for this one. We're going to name our data set Supplier Categories, and we want to embed it in our report. We're going to use our regular shared data source, so we're going to click on New, and I'm going to select mine, and actually we're going to name that data source Shared. And again, we can test the connection here, and it's created successfully, and we can do OK. Now we're going to paste in our query, which already contains the order by clause, so the information will be in that order, and we're going to click OK. Let's move our table framework to the upper left corner and expand our dataset folder. And we just want the supplier category name field in this table. So we can delete the other two columns. And we want to expand the width of that supplier category name column. Let's delete the title placeholder text box, and we can then move our table up more. We can also right-click on a gray area and remove the page footer. We want to center the supplier category name and the detail row. So I'm going to just select both of those and go up to the ribbon and choose the center. And we're going to change the heading to say suppliers by category. Let's format that header row. So I'm going to select the row handle for the header row. And we're going to give it a blue fill and white bold 14-point font. So I'm going to handle my font first. White, bold, 14-point. And then I'm going to do my fill color. to a light blue color. Click away from it. Now it looks like it's cutting off the G and the bottoms of the P's in suppliers. So I'm going to make that row a little bit taller so we can see the full thing. We're going to format the detail row this time as well. So I'm going to make that a lighter blue fill color than the one that I have, or just a contrasting blue. I don't want to go too dark though. And I'm also going to give it white font and make the font bold. So this is our main table, right, that we'll be able to access the sub-report from. So what we have to do to make space for the sub-report is we're going to select the detail row header, right-click on it, insert row. And now we have multiple choices: inside group, above and below, and outside group, above and below. We want inside group below, so it's still within the same framework. And let's go ahead and run this report so we can see the results. So the supplier names are in the order of their supplier IDs. And that's what we set up in the query. Let's go back to design view. I've gone ahead and saved my report. I named it Supplier Categories, and it's in the SSRS video course folder. And I decided I want to make a couple of formatting changes. I'm not happy with two things in particular. The first thing is I don't want the new row we added to hold the sub-report to be shaded. So I'm going to just select that row and give it no color. And then I'm going to just change the color of my header row. I'm not really liking that color combination, so I'm going to give that a different color. And now I'm going to resave. Now that our main report is designed, we're going to leave it and design our sub-report. And then we'll come back to our main report to embed the sub-report within it. So we're already saved. We're going to go to the File tab and choose New, and we're going to do another blank report. So now we're going to switch over to SQL Server Management Studios and grab a different query. And by the way, if you want to save that order by clause in the supplier categories query, you can right-click on its tab and choose Save at the top. We want the supplier contact information query. And you can see that this query is ordered by supplier category ID. And we can leave that there. That's not going to make a difference. We can select it and copy it and then make our way back to Report Builder. This is also going to be a table. So we're just going to right-click, Insert Table. We're going to name this data set Supplier Contact Info. And we're going to want it to be embedded. We're going to click on New to grab our shared data source, which we can call Shared. I'm going to call this one Shared 1. And I'm going to select the appropriate one, test my connection, OK, and OK. And then go ahead and paste the query. And we can OK. We're going to move the table to the upper left corner. We're going to delete the title placeholder and move the table to the upper left corner. And then we're going to expand our Dataset folder. And we want all of the fields except supplier category ID in our table. Let's expand the width of the supplier name column. And we can give it a very light background color. Remembering that it's going to show up, I'm going to kind of make it like a light gray background color for that row. And I'm going to make the font in that row bold. Let's right-click in the gray area and remove the page footer. So now we're going to set up a parameter in a different way than we've done before. Let's right-click on the parameters folder in the report data pane and choose add parameter. So all the other times we've been doing query parameters, right? We've been modifying the query to create our parameters by adding the where clause. And now we're going to do this one a different way. We're going to name the parameter supplier category ID. We don't have to worry about the prompt because we're going to make this a hidden parameter. So we're going to go down to the bottom after we name it, and we're going to select the option button for hidden. And go ahead and change the data type to integer. And we're going to go ahead and click OK. So this is where we get to insert our subreport. We're going to click in that blank row that we created. Right-click in it. We're going to go to the bottom and hover over Insert, and on the list is SubReport. Now we're going to right-click on SubReport and go to SubReport Properties. We'll name the report Supplier Contact, and we're going to click on the Browse button underneath Use this report as a subreport, and we're going to select our supplier contact info report that we just created. And the last thing we need to do is go to the Parameters tab on the left, and we're going to add. We're going to do the drop down for name, and we'll see our parameter that we created in the subreport there. And over for the value, we're going to drop down and select supplier category ID. And we can click OK. And we can go ahead and run our report. And you can see that it has, so the other wholesaler category doesn't have a supplier in it. And then it goes to novelty goods. So you're seeing all of the suppliers in that category and their contact information, so on and so forth. Now, I will say that we should clean up this blank space on the right side of the report. It's kind of distracting. So let's go back to Design View. And I believe that blank space needs to be cleaned up in the subreport. So let's save this report. Go back to File, Open. Open our supplier contact info report. And let's get rid of the blank space on the right. We got rid of the blank space on the bottom before. Let's save it. Go back to File, Open. And reopen our supplier categories report. And I'm going to run it before I get rid of blank space here. Yeah, so it was in the subreport that was causing that extra blank space. So we can go back to Design View and save. Now that we have our subreport together, we're going to move on and create a drill down report. So let's start by going to the File tab, and we're clicking New, and we're going to select the blank report template. Now, let's actually right-click in a blank area of the report and insert a table. We're going to use our shared data set, and we'll just call it shared. And click OK at the bottom. We're going to move the table to the upper left-hand corner. And we're going to build this up. Instead of dragging the fields into the table, we're going to do something different here. Let's first right-click in the gray area and remove the page footer. And where it says click to add title, let's just call it Drilldown Report. Now, just as a reminder, Drilldown is an action. It's actually set via properties, and it can be performed on all reports via plus and minus icons on a text box, which enables users to hide and display items interactively. So what we want to do is expand our data set, and we're going to use almost all of the fields here in the data set except for the quarter field, but we're not going to drag them into the table framework. What we're going to do is make sure your grouping pane is open at the bottom. If it's not, you can right-click in the gray area, View Grouping. And we're going to drag the Order Date field down into the Row Groups pane above Details. Then we're going to drag Order Year underneath Order Date in Row Groups. Order ID is next. Quantity. Stock Item ID. And Stock Item Name. So all of those are in row groups in order above Details. Now we're going to drag transaction amount into the blank column to the right of stock item name in your table framework. Now we end up with 2 extra columns, which we're going to select, right-click, and delete. And we're going to decrease the width of the order year column, as well as order ID. Stock item ID can be decreased. Quantity can be decreased a little bit as well, I think. And stock item name, we want to expand. And we might want to expand transaction amount a little bit as well. We'll see when we run it. We can always come back and make these adjustments. So what makes this a drill down? In your row groups panel, you're going to click on stock item name. And over to the right in the properties pane, the last property is toggle item. You're going to click in toggle item and select the drop down, and you're going to scroll down and select the quantity field. So what we're saying here is we're going to have plus minus signs on the quantity field, and if we collapse the field, it's going to hide stock item names. That's what our goal is here. So now go ahead and save your report. And we'll call it Drill Down Report. Make sure you put it in the right folder. And then go ahead and run it. So if you look in the quantity column, you'll see plus signs to the left of all the quantities. If I click on a plus sign, it collapses it, so I'm not seeing the stock item name. So maybe in my job, the name doesn't matter to me. I just need all the other details. Or maybe sometimes I need to see the name and sometimes I don't. So this is an example of a drill down action, which you set using that toggle item property on your report. And we can go back to design view. Before we get into our drill through report, I just want to restate that a drill through is similar to a report SubReport, except it opens another report by clicking a link. So it's typically a link within an original summary report. And when you click the link, you get details contained in the drill through target report. So we're going to get this set up now. We're going to create a new blank report. But before we do that, go over to SSMS and copy your drill through query. And we're going to create a new blank report. And go ahead and insert a table. We're going to name this data set stock items, and it's going to be embedded in our report. We're going to click on New and select our shared data source, and we can just name that shared. Test your connection, and OK. Go ahead and paste in your drill through query. And we're going to click OK. So now let's do a couple of things. Let's remove the title text box and right click and remove your page footer. And let's move our table to the upper left hand corner and expand our datasets folder. We're going to add all of the fields from our dataset into the table. And I'm just doing them in the order that they're in. And then we need to adjust some table widths. So we want to make stock item name as wide as possible. Supplier name, we want to widen that. Unit price might be okay. Color name might be okay. We will find out when we take a look at it. Let's go ahead and give our header row a fill, and you can make your color choices here. We want to give it a fill color, and we want to give it white, bold, 14-point font. For the second row, we'll make it a lighter fill color and bold 12-point font. And if you want to change your font color, you can. I'm going to leave mine black. But I'm just going to give it a lighter blue. Let's format unit price as currency. Get rid of the white space. And let's access our dataset properties. So now we're going to set up some parameters for some ID fields. And so we want to go in front of group by, press enter and up arrow. And it's going to be where ps.supplier ID, and that's from the purchasing.suppliers table in that database, equals, we're going to do our @ symbol and name the parameter supplier ID. We're going to use the AND keyword and come down to the next line. And we're going to do wc.color ID equals @color ID. So we just created a supplier ID and a color ID parameter. And we're going to go ahead and click OK. So you see them in the parameters pane. We are going to right click and add a page header and insert a text box in the header now. Again, this is going to display the values. Well, it's actually going to be informational for the end users. Our color IDs and supplier IDs are each different ranges. So we're going to just put that information in this text box. So I'm going to move the text box to the upper left-hand corner and expand it. And in it, I'm going to type supplier ID equals, And then in parentheses, I'm going to put 1-13. So in that Wide World Importer database, there's 13 supplier IDs. And then I'm going to put a space and a slash and a space. Color ID equals, and in parentheses, the color IDs range from 1 to 36. So 1-36. Just informational there for the end user. And then I'm going to get rid of that extra space underneath the text box. I'm going to make the text in the text box bold. And let's see what happens when we run this one. So let's use a supplier ID of 4 and a color ID of 35 and run your report. So this is what we're getting. We're getting, based on that supplier, which is Fabricam Inc., and the color is white. So 35 is the white color. And let's clear those boxes and we'll put other numbers in and run it again. So this time let's do a supplier ID of 10 and a color ID of 3 and run it. So you can see a different supplier, different color there. And let's go back to design view. So ultimately the parameter values will be passed into this report. This is the target report. And we're going to make some adjustments to our parameters. So let's go ahead and go into parameter properties for supplier ID. We're going to change the data type to integer. Underneath that, we're going to check the box that says allow null value. We're going to make the parameter hidden. And then on the left, we're going to go to the default values tab. And we're going to select specify values. We're going to add, and it's going to pop in a null value, and we're going to leave it like that. We're going to click OK. We're going to do the same changes for color ID. So we're going to make it an integer data type, allow null value, make it hidden, add a default value that you're going to specify, and accept the null value. And now if we run the report, you'll see that you get absolutely no results. So we have to go and modify the query, the where clause of the query a little bit. So let's go back to design view, right click on your data set and go to its properties. So in that where clause, we're going to modify it. So I'll walk you through this and then I'll leave it on the screen for a moment after we're done so you can see it and double check it against yours. After where, we're going to put an opening parenthesis in front of ps.supplierID. And then we're going to go to, after it says at supplier ID and before and, we're going to click and we're going to type the or keyword, another at symbol, supplier ID again, and then the keywords is null, and close the parenthesis after is null. We'll get through it and then I'll explain it. And then we're going to go down to the next line that starts with wc.colorID. We're going to leave that and statement after is null. And we're going to do an open parenthesis in front of wc.colorID. We're going to go after the at color ID, type the or keyword, at color ID, and we're going to type is null again and close the parenthesis. So let me start by addressing the parentheses. The parentheses are changing the order of operations here. We want the or statements to happen before the AND statement. If we didn't do parentheses, it would do the AND piece first, because AND takes precedence in the order of operations here. So that's about the parentheses. So we added on, so when we created our parameter, we said ps.supplierID equals @supplierID or @supplierID is null. We're now allowing for the null value. If we don't do that, you see what happens. We get 0 results. So go ahead and click OK. I'll leave mine on the screen for a moment so you can review it, make sure yours is correct. And when you're done, you can click OK. We'll run it again. And so we get a full list of everything. And we can go back to design view. Now this is the target report. So we need to save this report, and we're going to name it Drill Through Target. Now we're going to create our original summary report that will link to this Drill Through Target report. So we're going to do that in the form of a chart. Let's go to File, New, and we'll do the blank template. We're going to right-click and insert a chart, and we're going to keep the default column chart. That's already in there. Let's name the dataset Drill Through, and we're going to embed it. We're going to use our shared data source, and we'll just name it Shared. Test your connection as usual. And then, hopefully it's still on your clipboard, we're going to paste in that Drill Through Target query again. And we can go ahead and click OK. We can hide our parameters and grouping panes just to make some more room on our canvas here. And remove the chart, the actual outside of the chart title, and the page footer. And I'm going to move the chart over to the upper left, expand it, and now let's expand our data set and right click on it to get to dataset properties. And we're going to add another line to this query. And it's going to be, I'll put it, so up at the top you have select wsi.stockitemname. The next line down is comma wc.colorname. Click at the end of color name and press enter. And do a comma and type PS supplier ID. We want to add another field to this data set. Now, we're going to have an issue if we don't add it to the group by clause. So in the group by clause, click after wc.colorname, comma, and you're going to type the same thing, ps.supplier ID, and another comma. And now do OK. So now you'll see supplier ID in the list of our data set names. So we're going to select the chart so we get the chart data screen, and we're going to do the plus sign to the right of category groups and add supplier ID there. So it's grouped by supplier ID. The next thing we're going to do is in the chart data pane, we're going to right click on supplier ID and go to category group properties. For the label, we're going to do the drop down and choose supplier name. And we're going to go to the sorting tab on the right and change the sort by to supplier name as well. And it's in ascending order, and we'll click OK. We're going to do the plus sign next to values in chart data and select unit price. And we want to change the aggregate here from sum to average. So I'm going to Do the drop-down arrow next to sum unit price, hover over aggregate, and select average. Go ahead and run your report. So we're going to make some changes and fixes to it. We're going to keep building on it. But right now, I'd like you to hover over any column, and you'll notice that nothing shows. There's nothing that pops up when you hover over the columns. Let's go ahead and go back to Design View. Let's go ahead and save this. And we're going to name it Drill Through Summary. Now we're going to click where it says Chart Title within the chart. And we're going to type, I'm going to get rid of that text. And we're going to type average unit price by supplier. We're going to delete the legend. So where it says unit price, you can just grab that whole box and delete it. Select the columns in the chart. So if you click on one, it will select all of them. And on the properties pane, you're going to go over to the color property. And you're going to do the drop down where it says automatic. And I'm going to go to more colors link toward the bottom. So we saw our palettes earlier in the course. And I'm just going to select a palette that suits what I'd like to see. And I'm going to go bright orange on this one. We're going to adjust the labels underneath the columns. So you're going to select the label area and then right click, and you're going to go to horizontal axis properties. In here, we're going to change the interval to 1 from auto to 1. And we don't necessarily need to do this, but I'll explain why we're doing it. So if you had a lot of items, you may not get a label. So if you had more items than we have, you may not get a label if the interval is set to auto. And we can click OK. Let's save our chart report again. Now we're going to address the issue of having something show when we hover over the columns. So the first thing we need to do in here, and I apologize for this, when we went and modified the query to show supplier ID, we should have done color ID at the same time. So we're going to right click on our data set and go to Dataset Properties. And in the upper half of the screen, click before the comma WC color name field in the select list. So I'll point to it on my screen so you can see it a little bit better. We want to click before that WC.color name field, before the comma even, and press enter. And then use your up arrow. We're going to type comma WC.color ID. And then in the group by clause at the bottom, we're going to click before WC color name, and we're going to type WC.color ID and a comma. And now we'll click OK. We're not going to add the color ID into our chart, but we need to have it in our list. And so now we're ready to adjust our columns so that they have a tooltip that displays to the end user and connect this summary report to the drill through target report. And we're going to do that by right-clicking on any column and going to series properties. The first thing we're going to do is create the tooltip. So on the default series data page, we're going to go over to the function button to the right of tooltip. And before we even start typing in the expression, in the category pane, you're going to double click fields so that all of our fields from the data set show in values. Now you can click after the equal sign, and you're going to double click the supplier name field values in the values box, type a space and an ampersand, and then you're going to type the word environment and a dot and then new line, which is all one word. There's several different things you could use in here, but I like using environment new line on occasion. So after the supplier name, it's going to have the next thing on a line underneath it. And we're going to do a space and an ampersand. And then we're going to select the color name values. So the field's color name value, a space and an ampersand, another space. We're going to type environment dot new line again, space ampersand, and finally we're going to select the unit price field from the values box. So pause for a minute and make sure your expression looks like mine. And when it does, we can go ahead and click OK. Now, on the left side of Series Properties, we're going to go to Action. And we're going to select the Option button for Go to Report. We're going to browse and find our drill through target report. And then we need to add two parameters. So we're going to do add underneath that where it says use these parameters to run the report. For the name dropdown, we're going to select supplier ID. And these are parameters that we set up in the target report. So supplier ID, and the value is going to be supplier ID. We're going to add again and do the same for color ID with a value of color ID. And now that's how we pass the parameters. And we're going to click OK. So now let's run our report. And if you hover over any column, you'll see our concatenated expression. So it's telling you the supplier. You hover over it again. Okay, so it's telling you the supplier, the color that's represented, and the unit price. And because it is a drill through report, if you click on any of those columns, it will display the associated information from the drill through target report. Ta-da! And we can go back to design view and save. Now you'll have the opportunity to create another chart summary report. You're going to put it right underneath your column chart. So here's your directions on this slide, and go ahead and start building that chart, the new chart, which is going to be a pie chart. And then when you're done, I will show you my end result. So when I run mine, I chose a 3D pie chart. When I hover over any slice, I see the supplier name. And when I click on a slice, it takes me to the information for that supplier in the drill through target report. I'm going to go back to design and make sure I save. Now we're going to do one other thing. Let's go over to SSRS, refresh if necessary. And so what you typically would want to do here is hide your drill through target report. It's only going to be accessed via the summary report. So we're going to go to the drill through target report, more info ellipsis, and we're going to go to manage. And then we're going to hide this item. There's a checkbox that says hide this item and apply. So that way, the only way it will be accessed is via the summary report. And then we can cancel out of that. So you don't see drill through target out here. So by way of recapping Module 6, summarizing report data, we started with how to sort data, and we actually got to do it changing the default sort order in a table. And we also set up interactive sorting, and we changed the sort order via a query as well, using the order by clause in a query. In lesson 2, we created a report SubReport. We started out by creating the main report. We left a row empty in the main report in order to embed the SubReport that we then went and created. So we used a table within a table, and that is a nested data region, but we could have also used a chart in that one. So you got to see how you can embed a report within another report. And in lesson 3, we went over Drilldown, which is an action that is set by a property, so the end user could expand the level of detail they're seeing in a report by using the plus and or minus buttons. And then we got into drill through. We created our drill through target report first, and we set up some parameters in it. We passed the parameters to our drill through summary report, and we were able to see how we can connect them in that way. And so we used the action for that. And then you had the ability to create another drill through summary report within the original drill through summary report. You got to create another chart on your own that you actually connected to the drill through target, and you set a tooltip for the pie slices. When you have published a reporting services report, users can view the report interactively in SSRS. In some situations, it can be advantageous to run reports automatically, either to improve performance through caching and snapshots, or to deliver reports to users by using email or other mechanisms. To run reports automatically, you need to understand how Reporting Services manages scheduling. This module covers report scheduling, caching, and automatic subscription and delivery of reports. So we have 3 lessons in this module sharing Reporting Services reports. In the first lesson, we'll get into schedules. Lesson 2 will be about report caching, snapshots, and comments. And then we'll end up with report subscription and delivery. Schedules in SSRS have many uses. They're mostly used, well, I won't say mostly, but generally speaking, I think that more people use them for report delivery in a standard or data-driven subscription, and you'll see the difference between standard or data-driven subscription shortly. They can also be used to schedule report history so that new snapshots are added to report history at regular intervals. Snapshots are a picture of a report at a certain space in time that remains static in a snapshot. So you can go back and look at the history of your data. They can be used to schedule when to refresh the data of a report snapshot and when to refresh the data of a shared data set. Schedules can also be used to schedule the expiration of a cached report or shared data set to occur at a predefined time so that it can be subsequently refreshed. Now, there are 2 different schedule types in SSRS. There's shared and report-specific schedules. Shared schedules are created as separate items. After they're created, they can be referenced when defining a subscription or other scheduled operations. A shared schedule can be used by any number of published reports and subscriptions. When you delete a shared schedule and used by multiple reports and subscriptions, the report server creates individual schedules for those reports and subscriptions. The details in the shared schedule are transferred to the individual schedules. And then there are report-specific schedules. They're created when you define a subscription or set report execution properties. The 2 types of subscriptions are standard and data-driven. The standard report subscription, SSRS generates a report and delivers it based on schedule and delivery method, email or file share, for example. For a data-driven subscription, we can use data or the report parameters values from the SQL query. There are 2 things that we need to do. before we're going to go to SSRS and start creating schedules, we need to redeploy our solution in Visual Studio. We haven't redeployed it, and we want to make sure that all of our reports are up there and our data sets and all of that are updated if necessary. So I'm back in Visual Studio. In Solution Explorer, toward the top, I'm going to right click on that Solution Sales Information VS 1 of 1 project line and deploy the solution. So your build window will open at the bottom, and it lets me know that my deployment was successful. The next thing we have to do is make sure that the SQL Server agent is set to automatically run. So we need to make sure it's started, and then we'll set it to automatic. So I'll direct you on how to get there. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the search screen and I'm going to type SQL. And as soon as I type SQL, the SQL Server Configuration Manager comes up, and I'm going to select that app. So on the left side, if I click on SQL Server Services, I'll see my SQL Server agent in the list. And again, I have multiple installations, so I'm pointing to the right one for my version that I'm using for this course. And mine is already running, and its start mode is already automatic. If yours is not running, you can double click it. And down at the bottom, you can click on Start. And then you can go to the Service tab up top. And where it says Start Mode, you can do the drop down and select Automatic. And then you just want to apply an OK out of there. And you can close your SQL Server Configuration Manager. Now, since my Visual Studio is still open, I'm going to go ahead and close down that Build menu. And now we're ready to switch to SSRS. So I'm in my SSRS video course folder, and I've refreshed after deploying. And if I open the Sales Information VS folder, I only see 2 reports in there. So I'm going to go to the home. I'm actually going to go back to the SSRS video course link, and I am going to grab that More Info ellipses for Sales Information VS, and I'm going to delete that folder. Because if I click on the home link, this is where it deployed it to. And if I click on this one, you'll see I have all 3 reports there. So I'm going to move Sales Information VS from home into SSRS video course. And then I can go back into that folder, and all of my things are in there that I need for right now. Well, actually, no, it's not, because I didn't grab the data sources and data sets, but they haven't changed. So what I can do is I can delete them from the home screen, because they're already, we haven't changed them at all, and they're already in that SSRS video course folder with the appropriate VS behind them. So now we're ready to start working with our schedules. And we access them in the upper right-hand corner of your screen by using the gear icon. And when you click on the gear, you're going to select Site Settings. And on the left side, you have Schedules. So this is the screen that we're going to be working on. We want to add a new schedule, so we're going to do the plus sign. And you give your schedules a name. We're going to call it Sales Information Project. And then you have a schedule details section. Choose whether to run the report on an hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, or one-time basis. And so our choice here is going to be, we're going to select daily. And then once you select day, It's going to give you a daily schedule section, and you have options there on specific days, every weekday, or repeat after this number of days. We're going to select on the following days, or every weekday. We'll just do Monday through Friday at this point. And then after that, you give it a start time. When do you want this schedule to run? So I'm going to have the schedule run in a low traffic time. So I'm going to leave it at 2 a.m. And then we'll select begin running this schedule on. We'll do the little mini calendar. And I'm going to go to the next day from whatever day you're watching this video. And at the bottom, I'm not going to stop the schedule on a specific date. If I need to come back in here and modify anything, I can. I'm going to do apply at the bottom. So now I have this schedule sitting here waiting for use. And if you come back to schedules from site settings, you'll have that edit button there that you can use to get back and edit any of the information for that particular schedule. When we get to lesson 3 about subscriptions, we'll be revisiting the schedule that we just created. We'll be connecting schedules and subscriptions. So lesson 2 is about caching, snapshots, and comments. So caching, the report server can cache a copy of a process report and return that copy when a user opens the report. Caching can shorten the time required to retrieve a report if the report is large or accessed frequently. A cached report is not persistent. It does have a lifetime, and you can only have one instance per report or one per combination of parameters. And you're going to learn how this works in just a moment. And then there are snapshots. I briefly described them earlier. It's a report that contains layout information and query results that were retrieved at a specific point in time. A snapshot is a persistent copy of the report stored for good on the report database. You could have as many as you need. And then there are comments. As of SQL Server 2017, end users now have the added functionality of adding comments to reports in SSRS. Comments can be replied to, and a conversation about a report can be conducted via the comments. Attachments can be added to comments in SSRS as well. So now we're going to set up caching for a data set. So let's go to our sales info dataset, more info ellipsis button, and we're going to choose manage. And on the left side, you're going to select caching. So by default, it always runs the data set with the most recent data. If you have a large amount of data, or the report is very popular and it's accessed by lots of people at the same time, it can speed up the process by caching copies of it. So we're going to select the option button for cache copies of this data set and use them when available. And again, caches are not persisted, so the cache will expire. You can expire it after a certain amount of minutes, or you can expire it based on a schedule. Let's click on Cache Expires on a Schedule, and you have a choice of a report-specific schedule or a shared schedule. If you're using report-specific, you can edit the schedule here. We're going to select the option button for shared schedule, and then you'll see our shared schedule that we just created listed. And at the bottom, we're going to apply. And so the cache will only be good until that schedule runs, and then another cache will be created and only be good until that schedule runs. And we're going to use what I call the breadcrumb trail at the top to get back to the SSRS video course folder. In SSRS, you can set a cache for a data set and a report, but when it comes to history snapshots, you can only set those up for reports. So we're going to set a history snapshot for our drill down report. We're going to go to its more info and manage. And on the left side, you can see that you can cache here, but we're going to do history snapshots. And then the upper left, we're going to select new history snapshot, and it's creating a snapshot of that report with the data as it is right now. Once it's done creating the snapshot, you can click the link that says View History Snapshot, and it will load the report as it is right now in this moment in time. And I'm going to use the breadcrumb trail to get back to SSRS video course. So caches expire and snapshots do not. They are persisted, and you can have as many snapshots as you need for a particular report. Let's go back to more info for the drill down report and go back to manage. And this time, you might want to take a few moments to just look at some of the other items here. So it's letting you know if there's any shared data sets. We haven't assigned any subscriptions to reports. We have no dependent items on this report. We didn't put a cache here, but we did the history snapshots. And we're going to revisit security again a little bit later. So for reports, these are the things that you have on the Manage menu. We're going to go back to SSRS video course. Now we want to add some comments for the drill down report. So we don't do that from the More Info ellipsis. We actually launch the report by just clicking on its tile. When the report loads, if you look up in the upper right-hand corner underneath your user name, you'll see the comments bubble. So we're going to click on comments, and the add comment panel opens on the right. You can see we don't have a need to, but you could see that you could attach a file here. And I'm going to just click in the box that says start typing. And I'm going to say this report allows you to show/hide stock item names when clicking the icon to the left of the quantity field. And I'm going to post the comment. So it says whose comment it is, and then people can reply, and you can have a conversation about reports. And it's kind of a good way to get feedback from users. I would encourage your users to use the comments feature so that you can see what works for them, what doesn't work for them. And we're going to just use the breadcrumb trail to get back to the SSRS video course folder. Before we can get into report, subscription, and delivery, we have to add some user accounts and groups. I have some dummy accounts set up in Windows, and so I'm going to have you add the users on this slide and 2 different groups, and you're going to add 2 different users to each of the 2 groups. And I will show you my Windows groups in just a few moments. But I'm getting there by just going right-clicking on the desktop, going to personalize, and going to settings, and then finding accounts and starting to add them. So from the desktop, I right-clicked, I went to personalize, and I'm typing in users in the search box, and I'm going to select add, edit, or remove other users. So you can see that I have these users added. And if I go to add someone else to this PC, I can show you that I have that associate sales and manager sales groups added. And when I double click on this, I have to add the users to these groups, but my users are already set up. So when I go to users, I'll just tell you how I did it. If you look at it here, I created a user called, for example, Manager Sales A. And I named the full name Manager Space Sales A, that kind of thing. So that's what I'm asking you to do. And I just noticed that I don't have my associate sales users here. So I'm going to add those back in. by going to the action menu and choosing New User, and then it's going to be Associate Sales A, and then the full name Associate space Sales A. I'm giving my users passwords and confirming them and saying the password never expires so I don't have to keep doing this. But anyway, that's what I'm going to set up. So you need to set up those users this way, and I'll put the slide back up for you and you can pause and get them set up. Now, another account that I have in here is a training account. I just named it training, and it actually has a valid email address attached to it. So just so you know, an extra account with an email address that you can access would be great. And again, this is just for training purposes at this point. Now that we have our accounts set up, there are some settings that we need to review in Report Server Configuration Manager. So on the left side, I'm going to just go down the list. The service account is already set up. You have your web service URL already set up. Your database is set up, or we wouldn't have gotten too far in this course, as well as the web portal URL. Now we're going to talk about email settings. So if you want to use Report Server email, you have to specify an existing server and an email account that can send email from that server. So this is where you would use your email sender address if you wanted to be able to make use of this functionality. This is where I'm going to use my training account that I set up that has an email address attached to it. So that's the address I'm going to be using. So I got a message when I went to apply that I didn't put it in the right format, so it has to be the domain and then the account. So when I changed to the appropriate syntax and applied, it saved it. The other setting, the last setting on the left, Power BI service, let's take a look at this. So I'm already registered with the Power BI service. This gives you the ability to enable hybrid cloud features across the two. When this report server is registered, users can sign into their Power BI accounts and pin paginated report items to their Power BI dashboards. So if you have need of the integration between report server and Power BI report server, you would need to register with Power BI in here. Next thing you're going to need to do is set up a folder on your system for file sharing. So a file share folder, probably on a shared network drive, would be the easiest way to do it. And once you set it up, you want to go to the sharing tab and make sure you copy the network path. You'd also want to go to the security tab and add users that will have access to it. And then you can share it from the sharing tab and copy its network path. Once you have that done, we're ready to create our subscription in SSRS. In SSRS, we're going to go to the More Info button for the Drilldown paginated report, and we're going to choose Subscribe. We're going to name this subscription Sales Info, and we're going to use a standard subscription. We're going to use our shared schedule that we created. So we're going to do that option button, and our shared schedule populates. If you had multiples, of course, you could use the drop down to select the one you want. We didn't set up email delivery, so we're going to use Windows File Share as a destination. And so now you have delivery options for Windows File Share. We're going to paste in that UNC path that we copied when you created your file share folder and you went to properties and the share tab. You can take a look at the render formats in the list. We're going to leave it on Word. And then you have to give the credentials for the file share username and password. So it has to be in the form of domain name, and then a backslash and the name of the account. And then you have to input the password as well. Now your overwrite options at the bottom, it defaults to overwrite any existing file with a newer version when the schedule runs. Or you can do not overwrite the file if a previous version exists, so you'll get 2 versions of the file. Or you can increment file names as newer versions are added, so you get different versioning. We're going to leave it on overwrite and then go down and click on create subscription. In order to get to your subscriptions, you can use your gear and you have my subscriptions. In my subscriptions, without even selecting it, you can edit your subscription, you can launch the report that it's attached to, and you can navigate to your SSRS video course folder. If you select the checkbox in front of your subscription, you will see the toolbar becomes available to you. So you can come in and disable a subscription temporarily, and then come back in and enable it. You can delete a subscription that is no longer needed, and you can also search if you had a lot of subscriptions for a particular subscription. And you also have the Run Now icon, which if you want to run it off of its regular schedule, you can use. You can actually click Run Now, and then I'm going to go back. If you notice to the right, it says the result is running. I'm going to just go back to the home screen. Now there's something else. You can go back and check the status of your subscription on your own later. But there's another setting in here I think it's important for you to know about. So this time we're going to go to the gear and select My Settings. And there is a Connect to Power BI setting. So we saw the Power BI setting in Report Server Configuration Manager, that if you're registered with Power BI there, you'll be able to share paginated reports to Power BI dashboards. This setting under My Settings allows end users to sign into their Power BI accounts so they get access to their dashboards. And we can go back home. So to recap Module 7, we started in SSRS by setting up a schedule for report delivery. Then we went on to learning about and setting up report caching, snapshots, and adding comments to a report. And then we went into report subscription and delivery. We had to set up some accounts for this, which we had already done. And then we needed to set a file share folder on our system. And we reviewed some of the Report Server Configuration Manager settings that deal with this. So we set up a file share account via the subscription settings in there. And then we went to SSRS and set up a subscription for a particular report and pointed it to the Windows file share folder that we had set. Our 8th module has 2 lessons: Administering Reporting Services and Reporting Services Performance. When we talk about administrative tasks in SSRS, they include the configuration of the web portal and web service, which you've already done through Report Service Configuration Manager, or you wouldn't have made it this far in the course. We've been up on the web portal with our folders and everything since we started into the course. We can go over those settings a little bit later as well. And then another thing is branding the web portal and ensuring that access to sensitive reports is carefully controlled. Administrators also monitor and optimize performance. In the files for the course in the video description, there is a zipped folder called PE brand, and we're going to be using that as our branding package for the web portal. So if you want to pause and go ahead and grab that folder and place it where you've placed the other files, that would be good. So you can alter the appearance of the web portal by branding it to your business. This is done through a brand package, and I'm providing the brand package to you, that PE brand package. The brand package is designed so you don't need deep cascading style sheet CSS knowledge to create it. A brand package for reporting services consists of 3 items and is packaged as a zip file. It has a colors file in it, a metadata file in it, and a logo file, which can be optional. In the package I'm providing, we have all 3. The metadata XML file allows you to set the name of the brand package and has a reference entry for both your colors and logo files. The files must have the names listed. You need to package the files into a zip file, and the zip file can be named however you like. And there's a link on this slide for more information on branding the web portal. The other thing we'll be addressing in this lesson is security. So before you provide reports to your users, you need to give them the appropriate access within the SQL Server Reporting Services application. You use SSRS role-based security to assign Active Directory users and groups to SSRS roles for both the site and folders. Users and groups must be set up in Windows before the role assignments can be made in SSRS for the case of this course. We're doing it that way. And then Reporting Services installs with predefined roles that you can use to grant access to report server operations. Each predefined role describes a collection of related tasks. You can assign groups and user accounts to predefined roles to provide immediate access to report server operations. These roles are defined by the task that they support, and there are 2 types. There are item level roles, and they're defined on the root node and all items throughout the report server folder hierarchy. System level roles authorize access at the site level. Both types of roles are mutually exclusive, but are used together to provide comprehensive permissions to report server content and operations. There's a table in this slide deck listing the predefined roles and whether they are item or system roles, and you'll be able to see these when we start working on security. So again, the slide deck is in your files in the video description for your future reference. And I also have a link to the Microsoft Docs site where you can get more detailed information about role definitions. When you configured your report server, you set up your web service URL, right? And we accessed it by using the URL. And you set up your web portal URL as well. And so I said that I would show you these settings in the Report Server Configuration Manager. And now we're going to go to our web portal so that we can brand it. So in the files for this course that are in the video description, there are 2 zipped folders, and they're both sample branding packages. We'll be able to see the effects of both of them. So PE brand 1 and 4, 5, 6, 7 branding packages are the ones that I'm referring to. Now, just a note here, if you extract these packages and then rezip them, they're not going to work in the portal because that creates another folder inside the newly zipped folder. So it has to be a zipped folder with the 3 files that we discussed in it, or at minimum 2 files. You may not have a logo file. That can be optional. So you want to make sure that you grab both of these packages from the video description. And then to brand our web portal, we're going to go back to our gear and go back to site settings. And on the left side, you're going to select branding. Now, you don't have to upload your brand packages to SSRS before you can access them, like we had to upload that logo so that we can access it from within Report Builder. Here, you can just simply click on Upload Brand Package, navigate to your directory, and we'll just double-click PE Brand 1. And notice the coloration of your web portal changed. There's a logo that says Practice Engine in the upper left-hand corner. And if you navigate through the site, so if I click on Practice Engine, it will take me back home, and then I can get into my SSRS video course folder, and the coloration, the branding is intact regardless of where you are on the site. I'm going to go back to home and back to the gear and into site settings and then on branding. And I'm going to remove that PE brand. And I'm going to confirm the removal. And when you do that, it goes back to the default branding. So now let's upload brand package again. And we're going to do the 4, 5, 6, 7 branding package this time by double clicking it. And so now you see it has different logo, different coloration. You can navigate the site and look and see what it looks like throughout the site. And then I'm going to just keep this one for the course. But if you remove the brand package as you saw, it will just go back to the default. So now we're going to assign security roles to our managers and associates groups. So we're going to go back to our gear and back to site settings. This time on the left, we're going to go to security. And so there's always a built-in administrators group, right? We're going to actually add 2 groups here. So go ahead and click on Add Group or User. And the group name has to start with your computer name. You can get this from in your Report Server Configuration Manager, just the first part of it, or in SQL Server Management Studio, just the first part of it. So I'm going to get mine in. We had to do this in a connection string or 2. And after you get that in, you're going to type a \, and I named my managers group manager space -- space sales. So that's what I'm going to type in. And for the sales managers, I'm going to initially assign them the role of system administrator. And you'll see how other tasks can be assigned to them as well. So system administrator, it has the description right there where they can modify system role assignments, system role definitions, system properties, and shared schedules. I want them to be able to do all of that for all of the people that work underneath them. And now we're going to click OK. So we have our first group. We're going to add another group. And this one is going to be the same. We have to put it in the same way. And then the name of my second group is Associate space -- sales. And we'll assign the associates the system user role here. And if you get the group names wrong or usernames wrong, it will let you know when you click OK. So we're going to click OK on that one. And we have our 2 different security roles defined so far. So to save ourselves some typing when we get to the next step in this process, let's edit our manager sales group and then see if you can copy the path that we had to type in up at the top. so we won't have to type that again. And then I'm going to just cancel out of there. And now we're ready to go to our next step. So we're going to go back home, and then we're going to go into Manage Folder. And when we go into Manage Folder, it only has a Security tab. Here, we're going to click on Add Group or User. And in the Group or User name box, we're going to paste in what we copied. And now we have one or more roles to assign to this group. So, and again, these are listed in the slide deck, but here on the screen, it has definitions of what these roles can do. And they're checkboxes so you can assign multiple roles to a group or a user. So in addition to their system administrator role, we're going to give them the role of content manager. So they can manage content in the report server, including folders, reports, and resources. And now we're going to click OK at the bottom. We're going to add another group or user. And now if you want to, you can go back to Site Settings, Security, and copy the associates. But I'm going to just go ahead and type in the group again here. Figure by the time I navigate there and copy it, I can just type it in. And for our sales associates, we're going to give them browser, the browser role. And we're going to click OK. So now we have our security roles defined, both in the site settings level and in the folder level. We're going to take it down one more level. Let's go back to Home and get into your SSRS video course folder. Hover over your Drilldown report, go to the More Info ellipsis, and select Manage. And on the left side, go to Security. So we see here that we have it's carrying over at the report level. We have our sales associates here with browser capability, just like we gave them at the root. And our sales managers have content manager capability, which we also gave them at the root. But for this particular report, we want the sales associates to have a different capability. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Customize Security. And so it's going to confirm that I want to do this. It says item security is inherited from a parent item, meaning the root of our portal. Do you want to apply security settings for this item that are different from those of the SSRS video course parent item? And we're going to say OK. So now we have edit buttons in front of our roles, and I'm going to edit the associate sales, the sales associates, and they can continue to keep their browser role. But for this one, we're going to give them also a publisher role and apply. And then we can go back to Home. There are several tools that can be used for you to monitor the performance of reporting services. You would want to evaluate your server activity, watch trends, diagnose system bottlenecks, and gather data that can help you determine whether the current system configuration is sufficient. Microsoft Windows Server Operating System provides performance information through these 4 tools: Task Manager, Event Viewer, Performance Monitor, and then Process Monitor is a separate download. There's a link to the download for Process Monitor in the Software Requirements Word document. So we've all used Task Manager. It provides information about programs and processes running on your computer. You can use Task Manager to monitor key indicators of your report server's performance. You can also assess the activity of running processes and view graphs and data on CPU and memory usage. You can use Event Viewer and Performance Monitor to create logs and alerts about report processing and resource consumption. If you leave a configuration item in your report server but don't fully set it up, then Reporting Services will report an error when it attempts to load it. To prevent this, you can comment out the section in a specific config file, and you'll see how that works, the ones that are not being used, so you don't keep getting those errors generated. I have 2 links on this slide for you. So you have the link about an errors and events reference for reporting services and performance monitor on this slide. So we're going to start by taking a tour in Task Manager. I'm going to just go to the search box and type it and open it up. So in Task Manager, if I scroll down under Background Processes, I'll run into my Reporting Services service. We have RS Management, RS Portal. If you expand RS Service, you'll see your SQL Server Reporting Services. Now here, the Reporting Services service, that must be running for any and all SQL Report Server functionality. You also have your Performance tab at the top, which you're probably already used to. And then I'm going to go to the Services tab, and it's just a listing of the services. And on Details, I can scroll and see more detailed information. Here's my Reporting Services service. And it is in fact running, or we wouldn't have been very successful in this class. Another way of tracking your performance is using Event Viewer. And I'm going to just start typing that in the search box to open it up. Now in Event Viewer, I've created a custom view for my report server. And you can set a custom view, create a custom view on the right-hand side. And I don't believe there's a limit to how many you could have. So I'm going to just pull this down. I have a whole bunch of errors in here. And a lot of them I didn't address because I wanted to be able to show you them from the class and how you can resolve at least some of them. So if I click on my first error, right, and I look at the bottom of the screen, there's a Details tab. There's a General and then a Details tab. And it gives me an error because this hasn't been set up yet. A lot of times, if you have things that haven't been fully set up, you'll get an error here and that you can see in Event Viewer. Now, the second error is a common error here. Event 108 is what it's called. And if I look at the details, this one says DAX. If I find another Event 108 in the list and I look at the details, this one says SQL PDW. So these Event 108 errors are for things that you do not need to use in your applications, but they try to load all the time. So we can resolve those, and I'll show you how it's done. We're going to be using a rsreportserver.config file to resolve those errors by commenting out the extensions that we're not using. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. But again, what I would suggest to you in Event Viewer is set up custom views so that you can quickly not have to look through like a huge long list of a mix of every kind of error that there is for every kind of source. So now I'm going to show you how to get to the path where you can open the config file that we're going to modify. So the path that you want to navigate to on your system is showing in my address bar. So navigate to that particular folder, and in that folder, you will find the RS Report Server .config file. And when you find it, you can go ahead and double click it to open it. It will open it in Visual Studio. So you could search for extension in here, but I'm going to narrow the search. So I'm going to do Control F, and I am going to type the words for the, because I know there's a commented line above the section where the extensions that I have those 108 errors for reside. So it selected my search results. I can close the find box now. And in this group here are the ones that I get error 108s for. Not all of them, but some of them. So the ones that I need to get rid of, or comment out rather, I'm not going to get rid of them, I'm going to comment them out. They're listed in this section, but I have to comment them out in the following section where they're listed like individually with their configuration and information underneath them. So I'm going to do a pointer and show you what I'm going to do on my screen. And this may be different for you if you go and look and see what kind of 108s sources are in your event viewer. You can come back in here and comment out those extensions as well. So I'm working in this general area here. So I get 108 errors for SQL PDW, Oracle, and Teradata. And I also get one for DAX, but DAX is not in this list. So what I'm going to do is, and I don't need to use any of these in my reporting services. So I'm going to comment out those blocks in here. So in XML, the begin comment is a less than exclamation point dash dash, and you'll get some help in here when we get ready to start typing it. So I put my mouse right in front of the first extension that I want to comment out, and that's the SQL PDW one. And in my case, the three that I'm going to comment out are right grouped together. So that's where I'm going to start. I have my insertion point there. I'm going to press enter and up arrow to get to the line above it. And I'm going to type the less than symbol. And as soon as I do that, the list pops up and it gives me the exclamation point and the two dashes. And I can select it from the list. When you select it from the list, it also gives you the end commenting out symbol, which is dash dash greater than. I'm going to just delete that dash dash greater than. And now I get the wavy red underline because it's waiting for its mate. So I'm going to go down to the extension name Teradata, and I'm going to click at the end of its configuration line. And I'll point this out a little bit more graphically for you where I am now. I'm going to put my insertion point there. I'm going to press enter. And on the blank line, I'm going to then type in the end comment symbol, which is dash dash greater than. So you'll notice the wavy red underline gone. So all of the text in between the commenting out symbols has turned green. So when everything loads, these things will not attempt to load, and therefore I won't get those error 108s for these three items. And I'm going to go ahead and save this file, and I'm going to close it using the tab. The next tool we're going to access is Performance Monitor. So I'm going to go to my search box, and I'm going to type CMD and open the command prompt app. And I'm going to just type perf mon and press enter. So Performance Monitor opens. And let's start on the left side of the screen. Under Monitoring Tools, let's click on Performance Monitor. And you'll see your graph will start populating. Now at the top, you're looking at the current activity, these little icons at the top. We're looking at current activity, or you could view the log data. You could change the graph type from here. Let's click on View Log Data for a moment. So in here, if you click on Log Files and Add, it takes you directly to the folder that you need to be in. Let me go up one level. Sometimes it'll take you here, and you have to go into the Server Manager folder where the log files are kept, and then you could select a log file. I'm going to just cancel out of that. If I go to the Data tab, I got to change it back to current activity. If I go to the Data tab, it's just giving me processor information. You can change the color. The graph, you can also change the graph here. So you have line, histogram bar. And if I apply, you'll see that. You have report. If I apply that, it just shows this. And it's capturing the percent. And I'm going to just go back to line here and apply that. And then you have your appearance tab where you can change to give the graph a background, borders, so on and so forth. I'm going to just cancel out of there. You also have two other folders here, data collection sets and reports. And again, on the slide, there's detailed information on other things that you can do in Performance Monitor. Now, if I go back to Performance at the top on the left, I can open the Resource Monitor by using this link. So this opens, there's an overview screen, CPU, memory, disk, network. And on the network screen, I can see my reporting service, hosting service. And I can close this window and Performance Monitor is still open. So now we can go ahead and close out of Performance Monitor. So if you've downloaded Process Monitor, you can access it from your search box by just typing proc mon or starting to type it. And the executable will open up the screen for you. So this is quite intense looking at it like this, right? You do have the ability to filter in here. I'm seeing my RS hosting service here, right? So you can filter for certain things, and basically it's letting you know the time of day, the process name, all of this information, detail, results, so on and so forth, for all of these processes. So you can use this as another method of monitoring the performance of your processes. So you can play around in here, and also from the link where you downloaded it, there's a great wealth of information on how to navigate this for whatever it is that you're going to need to do. You have these buttons over here where you can just show registry activity, file system activity, network, process and thread activity, profiling events, stuff like that. So it's applying the filter. When I click that, I said show registry activity. It's another way of applying a filter in here. And I'm going to go ahead and close Process Monitor. So when it comes to administering reporting services, we went in and branded the web portal. We tried out 2 different brand packages, and just to change the color scheme, and both of the brand packages included a logo. So we got to see how that worked. and that you don't need to upload the brand package to SSRS before being able to access it. After that, we went into security and we set up our user groups, our 2 user groups, with a default security level. And then we went and applied other tasks to them. So we have our security set up. These are the things that they are able to do in SSRS. After that, we looked at 4 different tools to monitor reporting services performance. We started with Task Manager, and we looked at the reporting services service process in particular. That's the one that has to be running for any and all SQL Report Server functionality. We then went into Event Viewer, and I showed you my custom folder. And so my custom folder just dealt with SSRS. So it's a way of filtering, so I don't have to look through a whole long list of errors and notifications. And we specifically talked about error ID 108 and a way to resolve it by modifying the RS report server config file, which we did. We then moved on to Performance Monitor, where we can not only see the performance being monitored graphically, but it also contains a resource monitor. And lastly, we access Process Monitor, and it can be overwhelming when you first go in there unless you use the event filters on the toolbar or create your own filter from the toolbar. Thank you for attending the SSRS video course. In conclusion, what did we cover? We began summarizing report data, and we did that by sorting data and then creating report subreports and nested data regions. We also covered drill down actions and creating drill through reports. Module 7, we got into sharing reporting services reports by creating schedules. You learned about report caching, snapshots, and comments. And then we got into report subscription and delivery. The 8th module saw us administering reporting services. This included branding the web portal and ensuring that access to sensitive reports is carefully controlled. So we started working with security. And then we got into reporting services performance and how to monitor it. And we use 4 different ways of monitoring it.